Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of The Grandstand here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I am, as always, your host, AR, the Ohio Patriot. And for today's episode, we're going to talk about Ohio's political corruption continues. Shocker. Am I really shocked by this? Not fucking really. I assumed that this shit was going to happen with that fucking scumbag RINO sack of shit, Jason Stevens, being Speaker of the House now. Literally fucking cucking out the Democrat Party to get the necessary votes to actually elect him into the speakership. And then basically turn around and glad he and everybody that fucking helped him fucking cuck his way in there is what it is, dude. Which is exactly what happened here in this situation. We finally, as of last couple days now, which I believe was probably yesterday at some point, he finally took, almost a month later to actually announce committee chairs and various subcommittee chairs and stuff like that and whatnot. And we're going to go over that right now, actually. So, a couple things from this Anna Stryver woman, who apparently is a political person for Spectrum One News, and she's also a reporter for, I believe it is, USA Today. They're like Ohio branch, whatever it is here. And this is what she was talking about the whole thing here on Twitter last night. She said, quote, Ohio's new House Speaker, Jason Stevens, has released his list of committee chairs. About 50%, by my count, went to the 22 Republicans who supported him, along with most big committee positions like finance. Representative Derek Marin will now be the vice chair of the committee he chaired last General Assembly. That's fucked up, man. That's real fucked up in general. But going over the actual appointments and stuff like that, and various committee things here. So the one thing I do have a problem with this whole situation is you have people on these committees that are like basically, as far as I'm aware, the way that it works is you basically have the chair, and then you basically have like a vice chair, which is also like, is there like a ranking member or whatever, if I'm not mistaken, because that's how they always used to say about like Democrats and stuff on the committees and shit like that, even though technically they were like vice chairs or whatever. Or maybe it actually is like ranking member or something like that. I forget. It's something weird like that where it's like chair, vice chair, ranking member or something. Because I know there was a lot of that talk going on last year when we were doing constitutional carry stuff, and into 2021 even back then when you had Shane Wilkin as the chair of the House Oversight Committee and stuff like that, and he was always like talking about like ranking member, whoever the fuck it was at that point, and he was usually a Democrat, obviously. And I'm thinking it might have been he had a vice chair there as well. He just didn't really talk about them as what it was because they were never being, talked about or whatever. But yeah, basically, this is the list right here that we're going to discuss with this whole thing here, which is the House Committee chairs and vice chairs, 135th General Assembly, agricultural. What I was going to say here is the issue I have right now is there's a lot of people in the vice chair role, so basically secondary role, that are first term state reps right now, dude. And as far as I'm aware, a lot of them don't have any political experience before this, dude. So that would honestly be like me going in there as a first term state rep and then being like, okay, Adam, you can now have a fucking chair here as like a vice chair or whatever the case be. Oh, the actual chair is out today? Okay, you're taking over this fucking finance committee or this, armed services committee or whatever it is, dude. You know what I'd do then if that be the case? I'd be like, okay, where's the 2A stuff? We're passing a shitload of 2A stuff today, motherfuckers. I'm changing around the entire fucking schedule now. Which is what needs to happen anyway, in most cases, honestly. Specifically, the Armed Services Committee is where 2A stuff should go, not the fucking House Oversight Committee, is what it is, which is where it's gone many, many times before this. But we'll get into that a little bit later here. So basically, going back to what we were saying, though, you got the Agriculture Committee, chaired by Rodney Creech, and vice chaired by Roy Kepfolstein. I believe that's how I pronounce the guy's name. That dude is a first termer. And I'm pretty sure that Creech is actually one of the people who did not vote for Jason Stevens. I think he was actually one of the 40-something that voted with Marin, is what it was. So that is one right there. But then on the flip side of that, you got Armed Services, Mike Loychek, who did vote for Jason Stevens. And then vice chair is Steve Demetrio, who's a first-term guy. You got Aviation and Aerospace by Adam Holmes, who I'm pretty sure was a Stevens vote. And Bernard Willis, who's a first-term guy. Gail Palgia, who I know for a fact voted for Jason Stevens, is on Behavioral Health Committee. And Andrea White is the vice chair of that one. White's been kind of a scumbag here and there as well. Brett Hilner, who I'm 99% sure voted for Stevens, is the Civil Justice Committee chair with newcomer Adam Matthews as the vice chair. You got Commerce and Labor by Mark Johnson, and Susan Manchester's the vice chair there. Constitutional Resolutions, which is I didn't even know this was a thing until now. Maybe that's a new one they created or something like that. Is now Scott Wiggum chairing that one, with Brian Boldridge being his second in command. Let's see, Criminal Justice by Cindy Abrams, who's a known scumbag sellout to Stevens, with newcomer Josh Williams as her second in command there in the vice chair role. Economic and Workforce Development by DJ Swearingen. I'm not sure how he voted in this whole thing. I can't remember offhand. I do remember, though, one thing I do remember about DJ Swearingen, he fucked us over when it came to constitutional carry last year because it was his piece of shit ass that allowed the fucking Terry stop crap to go into our constitutional carry legislation, dude, when it never needed to be in there to begin with, is what it was. So, anyway, and then newcomer Nick Santucci is his vice chair there. You got Energy and Natural Resources. Daryl Kick is the lead on that one, and I'm pretty sure Kick voted. I can't remember now if Kick voted for Stevens or not. I feel like he did, but I could be wrong about that one. And newcomer Beth Lear is his second in command there. You got Families and Aging, Jean Schmidt, who is a known fucking establishment piece of shit. She's also the lead RINO who's trying to go for a death penalty right now. That bitch is basically trying to, or she's the leader there. Then you got Melanie Miller, who's a newcomer, as the vice chair there. And then Finance Committee is Jay Edwards and Jeff Luray, and I can't remember how either one of those guys voted. And then we move down further on. You got the various subcommittees for all these things. So you got Finance Subcommittee on Agricultural Development and Natural Resources, Don Jones. Finance Subcommittee on Health and Human Services by good old Sarah Scumbag Pay-to-Play Carruthers herself. She's the chair of that one. You got Finance Subcommittee on Higher Learning, Gail Manning, who's the bitch who literally tried to push through a TAPS Act here like 3.5 years ago at this point, before we called her ass out on it, and we literally were like, no, fuck you, bitch. And then it was right before the 2020 lockdowns, they tried to vote on it, and eventually it got like thrown back into committees or whatever it was then, and it just never got heard from again is what it was, and thank God for that one. I think it's because people like myself put such a fucking uproar on Reggie Stolfist because that motherfucker legitimately went from a no vote, which was should have stayed, honestly, so you don't fucking threat assess kids, man, to a yes vote after his own kids were exempt from being threat assessed. Like, what the hell kind of fucking bullshit is that, dude? It's fucked up is what it is. It's fucking misuse of personal gains what that shit is, honestly, dude. That's why I'm going to primary your ass out next go-around, motherfucker. Or at least I'm going to try anyway. Anyway, continuing on with that one. We got Finance Subcommittee on Primary and Secondary Education, Tracy Richardson, who is a second-term rep. You got Finance Committee for Public Safety, Kevin Miller, who is, I believe, an appointed rep, who now won the election is what it is. Tom Patton is the chair for the Subcommittee on Transportation. And Jamie Callender is for Infrastructure and American Rescue Plan. It's interesting how they changed that now to that. Callender is actually the guy. He's not a bad dude. He's not really like he's kind of like one of these like I don't really know if I want to say like wish-washy or whatever. He'll basically do like establishment line votes is what it is. But the thing of it is, like, his big go-to thing was like, let's legalize weed in Ohio all the way is what it is, dude. And I'm all for that, honestly. My thing is, if you're gonna do it the right way, dude, and do it as a Graham Act kind of thing. Be like, no, this is not going to infringe upon your constitutional right to keep and bear arms or anything like that. If you have weed on your person or whatever the case be, fuck the federal government. We're taking back states' rights. We're taking it back to the states. They can fuck off with their Schedule 1 bullshit narcotic crap, dude, because it's not a fucking Schedule 1 narcotic, and it shouldn't be. And they can go eat shit is what it is, dude. Fuck the federal government entirely. That's what needs to be on that one, dude. So, anyway, moving down to page 2 here. You got other committees here. Got Financial Institutions by Chris Jordan and Vice Chair Sarah Powell. That should be an interesting one because I'm guessing that the financial institutions, that'll be, especially with Powell in the vice chair role, because she's been one of these people that wants to have the, rightfully have girl sports, be girl sports, not have a bunch of dudes competing in there as trans women and stuff like that is what it is. I can see a lot of legislation coming out of that one from that particular position. And as well on that one, because Chris Jordan is a 2A guy. He's actually the one that helped us get constitutional carry to begin with last year. He was the one that originally with Tom Brinkman, who is now out of office due to term limits, unfortunately. They basically were the two people that basically started the ball rolling when it came to constitutional carry back in 2021 in this state. So I could easily see that being an interesting one for them. Going to the House Oversight Committee, you now have ex-state senator and now state rep, who should have not even been allowed to run for office again, Bob Peterson being the chair there, and newcomer Jim Thomas, who literally was able to flip the seat red after like 20 plus years of it being fucking blue in Canton, Ohio, because fuck you, Thomas West, you fucking sack of shit who doesn't want to actually do your job. You no longer have one, motherfucker, because it now belongs to Jim Thomas, who beat your ass last general election and is now vice chair of the House Oversight Committee, so that should be interesting on that one. And by the way, if it does happen to be something where a lot of 2A stuff goes to the House Oversight Committee again, I will directly be contacting Jim Thomas, because I could probably go run over like a 10-minute drive from my house right now and go actually talk to the man legitimately in person about stuff when it comes to Second Amendment related issues and stuff like that if it happens to be there and stuff. So, but anyway, moving on down the line, we got Health Provider Services by Al Catrona and Jennifer Gross as chairs and co-chairs. I can't remember if Catrona voted for or against Stevens. But moving on, we got Higher Education, Tom Young, and Dave Dobos, who's a new guy. Got Homeland Security, Jose Gambarni, who I'm pretty sure was one of the yes votes for Stevens, and Phil Plummer, who I think voted against him. Infrastructure, my current state rep, and the guy I'm probably going to try to primary next go around, Reggie Stolfis. And when I say probably, I mean I am going to try to primary him out, is what it is, dude, because I'm fucking sick and tired of it, honestly. And I want to make him, if nothing else, even if I don't win, I want to make him fight for it, is what it is, you know what I'm saying? I want to make him fight for his actual position and not just have it be like a thing where he just rolls on through the fucking primary with no challengers and then rolls on through the General Assembly because it's now a red seat, is what it is. It's like, nah, bro, I want to make you at least fight once to keep your seat, is what it is. So, anyway, he's going to be chair of infrastructure, and then you got Gary Click, who's a second termer, who is the vice chair on that one. And I was actually thinking about it as the thing. I'm like, okay, how can I actually get infrastructure to work in like 2A stuff in these committees? And I'm like, how can we do that? Oh yeah, we could actually make a piece of legislation that would basically be a piece of infrastructure legislation creating jobs based on Second Amendment stuff and building and whatnot, dude. And building like warehouses and stuff like that to make optics and shit like that in the state, dude. Or ammo or guns or anything like that, dude. So yeah, you could easily have it be like that's the main purpose of it or whatever the case be. And then there's like a secondary like thing like attached onto it that's just like, okay, and from now here going forward, the stand your ground law in the state of Ohio actually has no civil lawsuit ability anymore or something like that, dude. Or the same vein of things, you could do the 2A Preservation Act onto that or whatever the case be like, oh, by the way, on top of that, Ohio is now a Second Amendment Preservation Act state, and fuck the federal government, because we're not going to listen to any anti-gun shit that they're trying to push through, or any anti-gun garbage that the fucking ATF is trying to put into a law when it's not even a law. It's a fucking rule that they wrote that isn't even legally a fucking binding thing at all, dude, because it can't actually write law or legislation or anything else like that. So, but anyway, moving on, we got Brian Limpton, who is going to be the chair of insurance, and newcomer Tim Barhost as the vice chair. That's actually the guy that's taken over for who was it? Nino Vitale. That was his old seat there that Barhost is now holding. And he was actually able to beat Vitale's wife in the primaries to get that seat. So that's an interesting one. Pensions, we got Bob Young as chair and Angela King, who is a new chick, as the vice chair. Primary and secondary education is Adam Bird as the chair and Sarah Fowler Arthur as the co-chair or vice chair. We got public health policy, Scott Lips, who's a known fucking scumbag, and Brian Stewart, who is going to be the vice chair on that one. Stewart, by the way, is the guy who recently did the piece of legislation to make the Ohio Constitution Protection Act, or whatever it's called there, to basically protect our state constitution with a 60% voter base that it would have to have before you could amend our constitution at all, which is how it should be anyway. It should have been like that literally decades ago is what it is. Meanwhile, public utilities, we got Dick Stain as the chair and newcomer Monica Robb Basdale as the vice chair. I can't remember if she voted for or against Stevens. Got state and local government. Marilyn Jean is the chair and Bill Dean is the vice chair. You got technology and innovation. Thomas Hall is the chair and Thaddeus Claggett is the vice chair. Claggett is actually, I think he was sort of a politician at like a county level before. He was also the guy that should have been in our state house back 2 years ago, and if it wasn't for that scumbag piece of shit bribery motherfucker Larry Householder appointing some dude who then shit talked and smeared Claggett, he would have actually been there then. But he actually beat that guy in the last general election, is what it was. Or actually, no, I'm sorry. He beat him in the primaries of the last election cycle, and then he actually just won by default in the actual general election because there was nobody actually running against, is what it was. So, anyway. Meanwhile, for transportation, we got Rodan McLean, who I'm pretty sure was a Stevens vote, and then Ron Ferguson, who I want to say maybe voted for him, but I can't remember offhand, as the vice chair. And then Ways and Means Committee is Bill Romer as the chair and Derek Marin as vice chair. So, yeah, very interesting, very interesting. But it's really fucked up, man, how they're basically sitting there scumbagging and, you know, it's basically glad handing like, oh, you voted for me? Okay, I'm going to give you this chair position. I'm going to give you this vice chair position, or whatever it is, dude. That's fucked up, man, entirely. And then what was interesting was going back to the Twitter here, there was this chick who was bitching and moaning about people, and I thought it was interesting because I didn't want to talk about this as well because I didn't even know about this until a little bit ago here. Oh, sorry, that was the wrong one. Shit, where's the... Should be this one right here. Yeah, this Katie Shanahan girl said, Marin and his crew managed to get 16 of 27 standing committee chairs, 2 budget committee chairs, and 2 of 4 leadership spots in the House Majority Caucus. Yeah, because there's like 40 plus of them, dumb bitch. You fucking have to have that many people is what it is. She said also, the legislator who wants to both sides the Holocaust is the co-chair of the Primary and Secondary Education Committee. And I was thinking about that for a minute because I only saw the first page there that had it was Tracy Richardson or whatever for the subcommittee or whatever, and then I realized after the fact when I looked down what Sarah Fowler that she was talking about, and I'm like, what the fuck is she talking about? Like seriously, what, like, is this chick just talking out of her ass or whatever? And I looked it up and I'm like, okay, she is actually talking legit here. However, she fails to talk about what she's actually mentioning there is what was said in these various things here, which particularly is this article I'm going to pull up right now. This is from last March, where you had Ohio lawmaker draws backlash after suggesting schools should teach the Holocaust, quote, from the perspective of a German soldier. Come on, Sarah. I know your parents homeschooled you, but Jesus Christ, girl. Have some fucking common sense, goddamn, dude. Seriously. Fuck. Yeah. Anyway, continue out here from March 27, 2022. So, a Jewish lawmaker in Ohio is deriding legislation to restrict race education in the state's schools as the, quote, draconian Holocaust censorship bill after one of the bill's Republican sponsors suggested that it is appropriate to teach about the Holocaust from the perspective of the Nazis. Well, okay, so here's the thing, right? And I can understand, like, this is the thing. I'm going to give Sarah the benefit of the doubt on this one, legitimately. Because this is the way I'm looking at things right now. This chick was homeschooled her entire life, pretty much, dude. All through high school. It's why she graduated like a year or so early. It's why she went to college a year or so early is what it was. The thing of it is, when you actually look at particularly, World War II and the Holocaust and everything else like that, dude, things people never talk about in that, right? They'll always talk about all the Jews that were killed in death camps. They'll never talk about the old people that were killed there. They'll never talk about the gay and trans people that were killed there. They'll never talk about the mentally retarded people that were killed there, etc., dude. You know, whether it be people that had autism or Asperger's or maybe Down syndrome or something like that. Yeah, they were all fucking dealt with the same way as Jews, dude, in the fucking death camps and fucking ovens and shit like that, dude. And the same thing with trans people, the same thing with gay people, the same thing with fucking elderly people, dude. The elderly, the infirm, all the stuff like that's what it was, dude. Because you had the Nazis target everybody is what it was, dude. And the thing of it is, and I'm wondering if it's if what Sarah meant, honestly, from this whole thing was from the perspective of a German soldier thing, because there are actual stories from back in those days, dude. Mind you, this has only happened like 80, 90 years ago now, give or take. There are still people alive today right now, dude. They're like 100-something years old that can tell you as little fucking kids what they saw there, dude. And a lot of times you would have something where if a fucking soldier wasn't willing to pull the trigger immediately on a bunch of people into a mass grave and shit like that, guess what? They had a fucking gun shoved to their fucking head and we're like, do it or we're going to fucking do you is what it is, dude. And that's what it is, you know? It was literally a kill or be killed kind of situation there is what it was, man, in a lot of cases. Now, granted, does that mean it's right what they did? Fuck no, it's not right what they did. That's exactly why you had the fucking Nuremberg trials that brought all these cocksuckers up on crimes against humanity charges and stuff like that, dude. It's exactly why, by the way, currently, with the shit that we're seeing from the fucking, you know, Pfizer's and Moderna's of the world and all these other big pharmaceutical companies, dude, that are pushing we should be giving these fuckers crimes against humanity charges at this point, dude. The same thing with everything else for that matter, for God's sakes. You know, all these politicians that have been pushing this shit, all these fucking mainstream media that have been pushing this shit forever, dude. Like, they should all be brought up on Nuremberg trials right now for the same exact goddamn reasons what it is, dude. But yeah, we're not going to do that. That's the problem right now, dude. But the biggest problem I have with the whole thing is it's like, all they're doing is leading divisions what it is, dude. It's Democrats trying to lead divisions what it ends up being, dude, here in the situation. So, anyway. But going back on here to read what she actually said here about the actual thing. This was a direct quote from Sarah. It said, quote, maybe we're going to listen to the perspective of someone from Poland when they were undergoing similar displacement or when they were being incorporated into the war and to some of these camps, or maybe you're listening to it from the perspective of a Jewish person that has gone through the tragedies that took place. It said, Arthur describing how the hypocritical lesson that complies with the law can unfold, and maybe you'll listen to it from the perspective of a German soldier. So yeah, she didn't fucking say specifically teach it from the German soldier's perspective. She said legitimately, this is how it could be taught, basically, is what she's talking about with the bill in question that they were trying to do last General Assembly is what it was, dude. So yeah, it's 100% taken out of context is what it was, dude. And that's what I fucking hate about the mainstream media. 100% at this point, dude, and the fucking dumbass leftists who control the goddamn narrative is what it is, dude. I'm so fucking sick of it, dude. It's why I will always come on here and do my own perspective of shit, because I'm sick and tired of their fucking lies is what it is, dude. And their fucking attack on the Second Amendment and everything else like that, dude, is what it ends up being. And it says, Arthur also mischaracterized how Jews were murdered in the Holocaust and why they were murdered in her remarks, originally made News Channel 5 in March, but not publicized in the station until Tuesday. Said, quote, what we do not want is for someone to come in and say, well, obviously the German government was right in saying that the Aryan race is superior to all other races, and therefore that they were acting rightfully when they murdered hundreds of thousands of people for having a different color of skin, she said. So, again, this is kind of like the thing of it was, dude, it wasn't that, Jesus. So, I mean, I guess technically there was like some blacks, obviously, that were murdered back then as well, if I'm not mistaken, in the death camps, but it wasn't as many as she's talking about, dude. Again, most of the Jews were also white people, dude, is what it was. Hell, fucking Hitler himself was pretty much Jewish, is what it was, dude. Like, all the fucking Nazis were Jews and stuff for the most part, dude. It just happened to be that, like, first of all, when you destabilize a fucking country, which is what we're seeing right now here in America, by the way, which is exactly why you can see America itself in the next, like, couple of years, honestly, have a rise of a Hitler type or a Stalin type or a Mao type or even a fucking literal cabal of, like, 10 of these fucking people together is what it is, dude. Where it's like Hitler, Stalin, Mao, Pol Pot, Che Guevara, Nicolas Maduro types, fucking his daddy Hugo Chavez types, fucking Fidel Castro's, et cetera, of the world, dude. You could basically have all of them come together and like 10, 12 new people is what it is, dude. It's like this giant fucking cabal of folks is what it would be, man. That are really controlling this country is what it would be then. And yeah, you could easily have like this cabal of dictators rise is what it would be, man. And God forbid that would happen, honestly. And why the hell do people think after 240 something odd years now, dude, they're trying to attack and destroy the Second Amendment so fucking hard and stop civilian ownership of firearms so hard? Oh, yeah, that's right. Because they know that they would be in the fucking ground from the Americans finally rising up and having a second American Civil War against them, dude. Against the tyrannical government is what it is, man. Seriously. And that's the entire fucking point of the matter, dude. It's exactly why before Hitler took, when he took over Nazi Germany back in the 1930s and 40s, it's why the motherfucker disarmed the Jewish people. It's why he disarmed anybody that would have been a resistance to him back then so that they could commit democide against those fucking people, dude. It's the same thing with fucking Stalin. It's the same thing with fucking Mao. It's the same thing with Che Guevara, Pol Pot, etc., dude. They all took the guns. They took the guns first and murdered you after is what it was, dude. They put you up against the fucking wall and put a round in your fucking dome is what it was, man. Seriously. And that's the entire point of the fact. You know, it didn't matter what race, what religion, what fucking whatever you were, dude. If they didn't like you, they were going to kill you. Hell, look at how they took... Seriously, this is stuff I just learned recently, actually, in the last 2 years or so, dude. About the Night of the Long Knives and stuff like that, man. They don't actually teach... As far as I remember, they didn't teach that shit in my fucking school anyway, dude. When I was going to high school, or even middle school for that matter, which they should have been, honestly, dude. Because that alone is a fucked up thing, because it basically shows about how the Nazis themselves turned against their other fucking Nazi buddies is what it was, dude. It's exactly the same thing currently with your Antifa types and stuff like that, dude, that want this whole, like, anarchy world is what it is, dude. And are trying to basically destabilize the country, but don't realize that they would be the first ones at the fucking wall if and when it happens, because you would have those people, aka the fucking brown shirts, aka the fucking Bolsheviks, etc., dude. They would be the first ones up against the wall because they would know how to destabilize the fucking country again if you actually had a dictator rise is what it is, dude. It's why you had Stalin basically kill off like 90% of the fucking military guys that actually knew what the fuck they were doing there in Russia and stuff when he took over, man. In the old USSR and stuff like that, because he understood if those guys were still around, they could pretty much overthrow him. The same thing with fucking Hitler, dude. They killed all them motherfuckers because they're like, I'm not going to be overthrown as this dictator guy and stuff like that. And that's exactly what it was, dude. And the entire point of the fact of the matter is, when it comes to Night of the Long Knives specifically, you had the SS versus the SA, because you had some of these SS guys who were like, I can't remember exactly what the guy's name was offhand right now, but it was essentially, I don't think it was, oh Jesus, what's that one guy's name? I'm thinking of the people that were in the movie Inglourious Bastards that were like the actual dudes, like the guy who did the film propaganda and stuff like that and whatnot. I think it was one of the other guys though, but basically you had like the leadership of the SS at the time or whatever to begin with there in Nazi Germany, who were, you know, whispering in Hitler's ear and being like, hey dude, these guys over here from the SA, they're going to totally turn on you and take over your leadership role and stuff like that. We got to kill them before they do that. And that's exactly what happened in that situation. You had all these SA guys who were the ones that helped Hitler rise into power, by the way. And by the way, on that same way of things, dude, if people wanted to talk about the actual fucking World War II and Holocaust and stuff like that historically, let's talk about who fucking funded Hitler. It was literally the people that make up Bilderberg to this fucking day, man, the families. It was specifically the Rothschild family and the Rockefeller families that were the ones funding his ass, dude. Not to mention the fucking Queen of England and her fucking family. You had those three families specifically. Rothschilds, Rockefellers, royal family that were funding Hitler's rise to power, dude, in the 1930s and 40s in Nazi Germany. And that is a historical fact, by the way. You can look into that shit, dude. I think more and more, actually, it was actually, you had the Rothschild family, you know, Jacob Rothschild and his ancestors and stuff like that. They were mostly the ones that funded it, like the majority of it or whatever, but there was definitely other funding and supplements and stuff like that from the royal family and the Rockefellers as well, if I'm not mistaken. So, and that's all stuff that's been done in, I think it was Alex Jones's various things about the time periods and stuff like that, and like the funding of all that stuff like that. I forget which one of the documentaries it was he did on that stuff, but it was also, there was one he did where it basically explained how the Rockefellers actually gained their wealth initially. or not Rockefellers, how the Rothschilds gained their wealth initially back in like the 12th, 13th, 14th century and stuff like that or so, up to like the 15th and 16th is what it was, like around Napoleon's time and shit. And how you had it was basically they had their own spies and stuff like that that were sending information back via like carrier pigeons and shit like that back in them days. And so you had like a message get back way early on there during the Napoleonic Wars and stuff like that, to where it was the original Rothschild's family members. It was like their little errand boys that got the message and stuff like that and gave it to them, and they were like, "Oh, okay, Napoleon actually lost this thing. Okay, well, we know that people are all in this flux right now. Let's go ahead and lie to them and say that he actually won the war, so that they could devalue the money that was the currency at the time, or whatever. Because if Napoleon had won that war, actually, you would have had like a whole new currency going to places. What it was." And so they went around and they had all these people like lying to people and stuff like that, and being like, "Oh, did you hear Napoleon won? Did you hear Napoleon won? Did you hear Napoleon won?" This is like 3-4 weeks before they were actually getting back to the actual uh, country there, so that it would be proven that no, in fact, he did lose, is what it was. And meanwhile, during that time, you had this currency being devalued and stuff like that. And you had the Rothschild family buying that shit up for pennies on the dollar, is what it was, dude. And they amassed a shitload of wealth like that, is what it was. And it's that kind of wealth that they then used, decades to centuries later, is what it was, to then fund Hitler's regime, is what it was then, dude. So, yeah. And of course, during that same time, you had George Soros make his fucking, massive original fucking step up into the hierarchy and stuff like that by stealing Jewish people's wealth back then. Dude would literally walk over, and this is by the way, for those wondering about what I'm talking about right now, Soros admitted all this shit in a 60 Minutes interview about, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago now, maybe longer than that even, where he basically straight up said to people, he was like, "Oh yeah, I would go around and fucking go to these farms and stuff like that and out these people as, Jews and stuff like that. Nazis would round them up and I'd go out there and steal their fucking wealth," is what it was, dude. And that's what he did. He stole their fucking farmland. He stole their farmlands, stole any kind of actual, coins or anything like that they would have had in their possession, or any kind of jewelry or whatever the case be, sold that for a profit and whatnot. And that's how that sick son of a bitch amassed his wealth nowadays, what it is. And then of course he went in and did a bunch of stock market stuff after the fact or whatever, like short selling and shit like that, kind of like how Michael Bloomberg did the same thing as well as what it was. That's why you have Bloomberg being that billionaire that he is now, because he's been committing crimes for his entire life pretty much as an anti-gun fuckboy is what it is. But anyway, yeah, it's a real bunch of sick shit, man, is what it is. And that's the thing. Like, you'll never hear that stuff being talked about in actual school systems, dude, because again, they don't want teenagers to know the actual truth of the matter, dude, of everything. Because if they actually did, they would tell them everything, dude. They would be like, "No, here's this stuff that happened. Here's this stuff that happened. Here's the long knife stories. Here's the fucking actual funding of Hitler's regime and stuff like that. Like, here's everything, dude. Here's why the Americans actually got into the fucking war to begin with. And it wasn't to save people, by the way. It was legitimately because, oh shit, our country's about to go into a fucking Great Depression again if we don't do something, because you had Germany literally destabilizing like a shitload of fucking nations at that point, dude, because of their currency and stuff being like so amassed to like, you had to have that big old stack of cash like that to buy a loaf of bread and shit, dude. All the Deutschmarks that were like, I forget what they called at that point. I think it was like Reichsmark or something like that is what it was back in the Nazi Germany time period. You can actually still get that money too, by the way. It's historical cash is what it is, dude. I don't have any of it, obviously, because I wouldn't want to have any of it. Because again, it's just like, that's fucked up is what it is, dude. But yeah, you can actually get like, there was a coin, I think it was about yay big or so. And that's, yeah, probably about that big or so, give or take. That was done during Hitler's regime. That basically has like a whole like it's like the Nazi little bird and stuff like that, and the swastika on the back of it. And the only reason I know that is because of actually doing historical research is what it was, dude. So, and the same thing with the currency at the time as well. It had the same kind of markings and stuff like that because it was controlled by the Nazis is what it was, dude. The National Socialist Party is what it was. Hell, most people don't even realize that the Nazi Party is actually called National Socialists, dude. That's what they fucking were. Legitimately, that's what Nazi stood for, is what it was, dude. So, anyway. But yeah, it's just fucking ridiculous what it is, dude. I'm gonna actually see about going back to this or not. Okay, so this is what I think is very interesting here, right? So you have this mainstream media article that I was referencing here, talking about fucking race and race being taught in schools. We shouldn't be teaching race-based shit in schools, dude. We shouldn't be teaching CRT at all in schools when it's literally nothing more than anti-white racism is what it is, dude. Hell, critical race theory has been that forever. Ever since it was a fucking thing back in the day when you had legitimately fucking colleges teaching it. And by the way, at that point in time in history, it was being taught as like some fucking black civics class or something like that, dude, is what it was. Into like African studies or something is what it was originally called back in like the early to mid 2000s is what it was back then, dude. And then became critical race theory, started being taught in elementary schools and middle schools and high schools and stuff like that, which should never be taught in that way because, again, it was never meant to be taught that way. And even in fucking colleges, it was only meant to be actually educated on because you would have kids in those schools, 19, 20, 21, 22, etc., having critical thinking skills is what it was, dude. That's the whole point of the actual curriculum to begin with in that situation, was it was meant for those fucking people to actually have critical thinking. You can't have a fucking 9, 10-year-old have critical thinking when you're telling them, oh, you're a piece of shit because you're a fucking white child. That's all CRT is, dude. It's them teaching kids you have to hate yourself because you're fucking white. Fuck that shit, dude. Fuck all that bullshit. Anyway, continues on here and said Arthur's comments, which she said were informed by some audiobooks on the Holocaust that she had been listening to, are the latest in a series of comments that implemented Holocaust education in a wave of Republican-led legislation aimed at dictating how race is taught in schools, public schools. An educator in Texas, an Indiana lawmaker, have apologized in recent months, this is last year obviously, after suggesting that teachers should remain impartial or offering multiple perspectives while teaching about the Holocaust. Again, why shouldn't you? Yeah, I get it. Obviously, people were murdered and stuff like that, dude. But again, why not offer multiple perspectives from the fact that, here's what led up to all this shit anyway, dude? Jesus fuck, dude. You don't want these kids informed? Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. You don't want them informed because you literally want them to be your little fucking puppets walking around for your fucking activist bullshit is what it is, dude. Fuck that crap entirely, dude. Fuck the left entirely. The problem with this country right now, 100%, is the fucking Democrats, is the fucking leftists in this country, dude. Because they're the ones who don't have fucking kids and then they want to dictate all kinds of anti-fucking racial bullshit on our fucking kids that Republicans and the middle are having at this point, dude. Because they want to create their future little activist / terrorist Antifa cells is what it is, dude. Fuck all that crap. For real. Anyway. Of course it's fucking Weinstein who's the Jew in the situation, dude. Yeah, so Arthur quickly drew firm rebukes from leaders in Ohio as well as state rep Casey Weinstein, who, by the way, a month after I was federally swatted, that motherfucker Weinstein committed a hoax himself where he put fucking memes in his fucking mailbox that he printed off from his computer 3 days after the fact on that fucking Wednesday after he did that shit over the weekend. He then sold the shit on some Facebook buy-sell trade site, dude, the printer he used to print the shit off with. And it's like, how the fuck has this dude not been investigated since then, dude? And of course he's going to be like, oh, I have a problem with that. Fuck you, Weinstein. By the way, Weinstein, if you go to my Twitter account from the last couple days, actually, dude, I fucking called out that bitch-ass Casey Weinstein, I believe it was yesterday, because he was making up fucking lies again. A little over a year ago now, it was about 366, 367 days ago, somewhere in there was a group of people that were outside Weinstein's house waving various flags, like American flags and stuff like that. And his fucking coward pussy bitch ass wouldn't even go out and say, hey, what the fuck, man? Why are you at my house and stuff like that? No, what do you do? His bitch ass got on the fucking phone. Wasn't even him that got on the fucking phone. It was his bitch ass telling his wife, honey, call 911. People are trying to hurt us. Didn't even fucking know why they were there, by the way. Just fucking call the cops on him like a fucking pussy-ass coward that he is. Well, he's supposed to be a military vet. Military vet my fucking ass, dude. That guy never saw combat a day in his fucking worthless-ass, pussy-ass life is what it is, dude. My fucking father, who fought in Korea, saw more combat than that fucking cocksucker Casey Weinstein ever fucking saw, dude. And I can tell you that right fucking now, honestly, dude. But anyway, the entire point is, you had these people who, by the way, were actual supporters of Weinstein, and he would have known that his bitch ass actually gone out and spoke with them. But instead he had the fucking cops go out there and were like, oh, what are you doing here? And the guys were like, yeah, we just want to talk to him because we're actual supporters of him and we want to discuss some things about some legislation is what it is. But yeah, his bitch, and then what did his bitch ass do the other day here on Twitter? Fucking lied about it, dude, and was like, oh, a year ago, a bunch of trolls came to my house and tried to fuck with me. No, they didn't, you jackass. It was your fucking voter base that came there to speak with your dumb ass. You're just straight up lying and you're a fucking piece of shit, bro. Like, you're a fucking liar, dude. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if Casey Weinstein was the fucking George Santos of Ohio at this point, dude. Was even fucking lying about his Jewish heritage, for that matter, man. Would it really surprise anybody? It sure as shit wouldn't surprise me at all, dude. Fucking Democrats are lying pieces of shit and then some, dude. Same thing with these RINO fucks like Santos and stuff like that, dude. All these fuckers care about is getting into office and then getting reelected into office every fucking chance they get, dude. Even if they have to cheat to do it, is what it is, man. Which I guarantee if you're looking to do elections in the state of Ohio for the past 6 or 7 years, dude, you'd probably find that Casey Weinstein most likely cheated his way into office at some point, is what it is, dude. Same thing with Allison Russo and company, et cetera, dude, because they've gerrymandered different districts in the state and major cities so fucking blue, it's impossible for anybody that is either middle of the road, independent, or a fucking red Republican to ever get into those seats in those fucking cities, is what it is, dude. It's why they never have actual primary challengers or even fucking challengers in actual general elections because people know that they can't win. So they don't want to waste the fucking money on a seat they can't win. Which is stupid. No, fucking challenge them. Make them fucking piss away money. I don't care if you're spending $150 fucking dollars on a campaign, dude. Make these fucking assholes spend thousands of dollars just to beat you. Because it forces them then to go pay for campaign ads. It forces them then to go run shit to actually have a real race is what it is. And I would say the same thing with Democrats here in red state, in red counties and stuff like that, dude, in red seats. Do the same fucking thing. Independents do the same fucking thing, dude. Force them to spend money against you. Stop letting them just have a bunch more cash in the coffers, dude. Seriously. But yeah, according to this, what it said here was that Weinstein was supposedly one of 2 Jews in the actual General Assembly as of last year. What a fucking joke. And then some jackass that was part of the Anti-Defamation League said Sarah's remarks showed no baseline of even education, that 6 million Jews were systematically murdered and millions of others. So here's my problem with that, right? Like they always talk about that shit. Like I've heard that from both perspectives, by the way. I've heard 6 million, I've heard 8 million. It's like, what's the actual number, dude? Oh yeah, that's right. You don't have an actual number because so many people were fucking killed because some sick fucking dictator was able to rise to power, but yet you same fucking assholes will never admit that it was because of gun grabs. And that's the truth, man. At the end of the day, that's the fucking truth of the whole damn situation, dude. The only reason that Hitler was able to rise to power was the same exact reason that Stalin rose to power, was the same exact reason that Lenin rose to power, was the same exact reason that fucking Che Guevara, Nicolas Maduro, fucking Hugo Chavez, Mao Zedong, et cetera, et cetera. Every dictator throughout history, man, rose to power because of the same reason, because they grabbed guns and private fucking gun ownership from the citizens of their countries and then killed them. Created an authoritarian dictatorship that fucking killed them. It's why democide, death by government, was the biggest fucking mass murder event in the 19th and 20th centuries. Legitimately. But you'll never hear them talk about that in schools. Even though they fucking should. They should talk about how bad government is. Because again, if you did, you'd have people being like, well, we shouldn't trust the government then, right? Fuck no, you shouldn't trust the fucking government, dude. Because they're going to be the ones that send fucking agents to blow your fucking head off. Blow your fucking brains out, et cetera, et cetera. You know, seriously. I mean, for God's sakes, this comes from somebody who had a fucking federal swatting against me 3.5 years ago, dude. Over fucking thought crimes. Over some words I said in a fucking YouTube video. Over a what if scenario about actually stopping another Hitler from rising. I never said I was going to stop the person. It was just they should be stopped. You know? Anyway. And then, of course, you had ex-House Speaker Bob Cupp, then at the time in 2022, claimed that Sarah's comments were inappropriate and uninformed remarks. Says the motherfucker who was the most cuck-ass bitch Speaker of the House ever in the state of Ohio. Maybe not the most corrupt, but definitely the biggest bitch in the state of Ohio. This motherfucker never did anything good for Ohio, man. Bob Cupp, he never did anything good for us. You know, at least he wasn't as bad as Householder, who now had his trial started in the last day or so for bribery scandals, which, by the way, how the fuck is DeWine, Husted, LaRose, about half the Republican Party currently sitting in office, and the entire fucking Democrat Party, except for like 5 people that just got into office this year, not also sitting in fucking prison with Householder next to him at the fucking trial, dude, because they were all involved in that bribery scandal, baby. And if it wasn't directly that scandal, it was another one that had fucking money shoved in their pockets, is what it was, dude. You know, as I talked about with Sarah Carruthers before, she's one of the biggest fucking pay-to-play pieces of shit in our state house currently, dude. Fucking Allison Russo, May 2021. Fucking fat envelope from Moms Demand Action, all slippery, sliding right into hands like that, dude. Casey Weinstein, hate hoaxing himself, 2019, September. Fucking all of them, dude. They're all doing shady shit, dude. They should all be investigated for it. That's the problem, though. You don't have cops. You don't have fucking feds. You don't have them spending fucking manpower to do that stuff yet. Low-hanging fruit, people like myself, oh no, we have 6-7 days to just piss away on these people to where they admit to your face, we wasted 6 days on this? Yeah, you wasted 6 days on the autistic guy who said an offhanded remark in a fucking video and a what-if scenario. But yet, nah, he's totally a threat because he's actually armed. I can say the same thing about the fucking federal government now, dude. They're a fucking threat because they're armed. You know? And that's the truth of the matter, dude. But anyway. Yeah, it's a bunch of bullshit entirely. I didn't expect us to go 45 minutes, honestly. I think we just got off the main thing onto Sarah's whole thing there is what it is, dude. But yeah, it was House Bill 327 last year that we were talking about there. And yeah, it would have given parents the right to be able to be like, no, your kids are not going to be taught CRT bullshit in schools and stuff like that. It should have gone through all the way to DeWine's desk. It just never did, is what it was, dude. Instead, you had them just piss away and then be like, oh, sorry, it's been 17 hours. Now we can't go through anything else now. Instead of being like, hey, take your ass back fucking 3 months. Don't fucking take any time off for random bullshit breaks, dude, and actually do your fucking job. Or don't have one. And that's the problem right now. You know, we have our General Assembly in office 2 years, fucking 24 months, dude. But yet out of those 24 months is at least 6 of them or more that these fuckers are out on breaks and shit, dude. Whether it be a month or 2 long break, whether it be 2-3 weeks for fucking various like New Year's and holidays and stuff like that, like Christmas time and shit, dude. It's like, get back to work, man. Seriously. Like I could see maybe taking like a week between like Christmas and like New Year's or so. But yeah, a couple days later, get your asses back to fucking work, bitch. Seriously. And the same thing with like summertime. Like, hey, if it's hot in the fucking, you know, chambers and stuff like that, don't wear suits. Wear fucking plain clothes, dude. Hell, wear a fucking t-shirt and some shorts or some shit, dude. Create a new dress code, casual wear for fucking summertime or something like that, dude. Just get your asses back in the fucking office and do some shit. Seriously. It's ridiculous. And like I said, the reason I don't like that Scott Lips guy earlier, dude, that motherfucker had the audacity a couple years ago. This is, by the way, after they had taken like a 2.5 month break for fucking summertime. This is back in the fall of, I believe it was 21. There was some guy in the one of the chambers and stuff like that for one of the committee hearings or whatever. I think it was one that Lips had chaired at the time or whatever. And it was something about medical freedom stuff and whatnot. And not forcing people to do, you know, jabs and stuff like that is what it was. And this guy was like, yeah, maybe you guys should have got back to work a little bit sooner. You could have actually had this done by now and stuff like that. And Lips was basically talking about having him removed from the fucking chambers and stuff like that, dude. And it's like, dude, what kind of dictator shit is that for real? Like, how are you still part of our General Assembly after that, bro? Like, you should have resigned disgrace after that, man. Seriously. And that's the problem, though. We're not holding these fuckers' feet to the fire to do that stuff, man. And we're not having we should be having automatic disqualification to receive power in this country right now, honestly, dude. As a 23th with the Constitution. And it would be like, hey, you're going to go full dictator in office? Go fuck yourself. You don't have a job anymore, dude. Things like that is what it is, man. Put the power back to the people for real is what it ends up being, man. But anyway, just checking to make sure there's not anything else I want to talk about in this episode. We're about to do another one anyway with but that fucker Gavin Newsom and his scumbag ass. Hate that fucking guy so much, dude. I really, really do. Actually, any anti-gunner I can't fucking stand is what it is, dude. So, wow. Okay, so just to be clear, we're not only going to talk about Gavin Newsom in the next Grandstand, we're also going to be talking about Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as well, dude. Because that motherfucker's trying to go full tyrant now as well, apparently. And yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it for this one. We'll be back in about probably 10, 15 minutes or so with the next one. I plan on taking a bathroom break real quick, and then I'll be back on again with 127 then is what it'll be. But other than that, that's pretty much where we're at for the day for this one. I will see you guys in a little while. And then after that one, I'll see you guys, at some point in the future after that then. But other than that, that's where we're at for today. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will see you all in the next one.